Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Chris, and welcome to another gaming vlog. It's been a bit. I've had not uploaded a video in about a week. I've not streamed in a while. And yeah, obviously a lot of various reasons for that. Given, I was having trouble streaming, was one of the major things. I actually I've taken a little bit of a break, so I don't know if the problems are still existing. So we'll see how things go this week because I am coming back a little bit. I'm going to actually want to talk about that. But this is a gaming vlog. This is my second one of these, and basically what I love to do is talk about the games that I played over the last month and how I feel about them and all that jazz. And of course, one game in particular has completely dominated my life. It made me fall in love with it in a way that I was not expecting. I can't wait to go deeper into that. But yeah, let's actually start right out of the gate about like what's happening with what I'm gonna do with this channel at this point. Because look, I mean, let's just be completely honest. Like I was really grinding myself to kind of keep on putting out videos and keep on pushing to do streams and all that stuff. And that was the beginning of this year. That was what my goal was, to kind of really have a consistent schedule and do these things. And a lot of different things happened circumstantially, and just in doing it, that I ultimately, I think, burnt myself out. And I think I got to a point where I was starting to pick up games that, of course, like, I was not interested in playing some of these games, but I realized that I was forcing myself to film content, and that ultimately I didn't really need to film, and I wasn't excited to record necessarily. Like, Banjo is a great example of, like, a game that I kind of wish I just played off stream. That I kind of wish I put my focus in on making that experience more for myself, because it was personal for me. It is a game that means a lot to me, only because it is, which, by the way, I have the TV on, I have the sun in the background, so there's a lot of weird lighting things going on. Just forgive me. This is gonna be a weird vlog for me, the webcam wise. But you're here for me to talk, so whatever. I'll keep talking. Banjo is personal to me just because it's a game that inspired so many games that I love, but I never personally played it. But I think I underestimated the aspect of it being an older game, and it being a game that had different mechanics than a typical, what I consider now a typical collectathon platformer. And I think ultimately made me dislike the game that way. And I appreciate so many people who came forward and came to the chat, Twitch chat, and wanted to help and wanted to engage with it and enjoyed watching it, and are probably disappointed and or gone now because I've stopped playing it. But a major reason for that is just because, like, I felt overwhelmed by it. I felt overwhelmed by the entire thing, and it made that experience a little bit more bitter for me, I think, overall, and made it so that way I didn't want to keep on playing it, because I was just kind of like, I don't want to keep on being like, I feel like I want, as much as I want to invite people to be part of the experience, I don't want that just to be in a, like, hey, help me out. I want people to be there to actually genuinely want to enjoy my content, and not just watch me struggle all the time. And it was a part of, like, it was kind of like an embarrassing thing for me a little bit. And so I feel bad in that sense of the situation overall. But I just had to move my webcam because I realized I was, like, kind of cutting off. But yeah, I guess I'm just, it just became a thing where I just wasn't really proud of that series and how it was going, because it just felt like people were just guiding me through it, and it just didn't feel right for me to keep doing it. And then you throw in Today and Top D, Um, and I look, it's a great game, but I just found it to be. I found that I wasn't really enjoying recording it after a while, and I think and there's that push for me that I'm like, I kind of want to turn on the accessibility settings, but then I have like that person within myself, I guess, the voice in my head that's like, um, oh man, like, do I want to turn on accessibility settings and then like risk people being like calling me out and being like, oh, you're not playing it the right way, which that's a bullshit thing, by the way. I fully acknowledge that, but there's just still that part of me, that guilt in me, that's just like, oh man, I really don't want to, uh, I don't want to put myself out there in that way, and that kind of sucks in the grand scheme of things, right? Like when you make content for the internet, you have to kind of realize that you're going to open yourself up to potential, people coming after you, and people not coming after you, but even just making just general comments that they don't mean to offend, they don't mean to like be rude or say things in the way that may rub you the wrong way, but you just have to be prepared for that. And I think that part of me with dealing with Banjo and 2D Top D, which by the way, like that second game, like no one showed up for those streams, right? Like that was all like for me personally, like trying to deal with that, trying to tackle that. Banjo, like that was my most popular content, was Banjo, because people love Banjo. People love that series. They love newcomers coming to the series, and they want to see how they do with that. I just was not prepared for that, and I think I got myself into a hole where I just was starting to not really enjoy streaming, and then on top of that, throw in the fact that streaming has just stopped working for me for at least a period of time, where like the internet was just not working for me, and so so it got to a point where I wasn't happy with what I was doing. I was trying to fill content how I wanted to fill content, but like that, I shouldn't have to do that. Like that's not a thing that I need to worry about. Like this is not my full-time job. This is not even this is not a job I'm being paid for in any way, in any sort of capacity, even. And so I took a week to kind of like breathe for a second, not upload anything, and refocus what I want to do with this channel. And I think, and this ties into the what I'm about to talk about with some of these games, is that like I do want to play games I just want to play, and I'm really excited to play, and that it's not just trying to make up for things that are in my backlog. Like I just want to dive into things that I am genuinely excited about and genuinely want to share with other people. And I think a lot of the big marketing I say marketing, like again, like this is not my job, I'm just doing this for fun, but like one of the big things that I wanted to sell about my channel is like, hey, I want this to be a chill place. I want you guys to watch my videos, to watch my streams, and just have a good time and vibe. And I feel like the only way I'm going to do that is if I'm having fun, and if I'm enjoying myself, and I'm giving off those vibes that I am also having a good time and enjoying myself. And so that's what I'm going to do. And a lot of that's going to come down to like, I'm going to try to stop forcing myself to put out a lot of content, and what I will only do so if I feel like it's necessary. Like coming up this week, I'm playing Chia, and I'm super excited about it. The reviews came out, seemed pretty good across the board, and I really, really want to experience that game. I'm going to try to stream that. If I can't stream that, I'll record myself playing it, and it'll go up on YouTube. And that game I'm super excited about. I want to experience that, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to make content about that. So you're going to see a lot of me this week. But if there's going to be a time where there's nothing that I'm interested in producing content for, or at least the games that I'm interested in, I can't record for whatever reason, like, I just want to I want to give myself room to just really have fun with this in the beginning. Here. And I say in the beginning, like, I don't know. I recognize me doing this is gonna probably hurt any chances of this becoming a full-time job. But I'm hoping that I regardless of how this ends up, like I look back at this and I'm like, oh, I had a lot of fun doing this again. And so yeah, with that said, let's talk about some of the games that we played this month. And we'll work from the bottom up here. And again, these are either games that I played off stream or I did play on stream, and you could go watch the videos for. I'll make sure to highlight that when necessary, when possible. I want to start with Kirby 64: The Crystal Shards. So right now I am working towards beating every mainline Kirby game. I have 3 games left. I have Dreamland 2, Dreamland 3, which I'm currently playing through, and Kirby Star Allies. Star Allies I've dabbled in before, but never went far with it. I think that could be a fun stream game. I'm not like super like certain I'm gonna go in that direction, but we'll see. But then Dreamland 2. I'm gonna play as well. Both the GBA or Game Boy. Well, actually, I'm sorry. So Dreamland 3 is SNES. Dreamland 2 is GB. Anyways, I don't think either of those I'm gonna stream or make content of. Again, like I'm gonna be very selective with the stuff I play on content. But anyways, Kirby 64. I played it, and I like the style of this game a lot. But I think I could say definitively this is probably my least favorite of the Kirby mainlines. Oh, I have on this list Kirby's Dream Land below it. I guess that does make sense because I guess like Kirby's Dream Land is so short. It's a sample size of something that ultimately later gets added to a bigger game in Kirby Superstar. So like my love of it is just like, oh, okay, like it's fine. But I between the two of these, I would say Kirby 64 though is the one that I would least recommend, only because God, like I don't mind. I love the way that Kirby games feel, but I also know that for a lot of people, one of the reasons why they don't like Kirby is because it's a little bit of a slower platformer. I usually disagree with that sentiment, or at the very least, I don't mind it. I don't mind the speed in which the game is played. Kirby 64 is a slog. It's a slog. The way Kirby feels in that game sucks. It is like the floating in that game is brutal. Just walking in that game is brutal. Like everything, like the one thing that's super creative is like the combining of the abilities. Like that's super cool. Like there's not like, I don't think that this game is bad by any stretch, but it just compared to everything else, all the other Kirby games, it just to me feels the worst. Like I just really do not like the way Kirby 64 is like moves around, like how you move around in that game necessarily. But it is a delightful game. It's a delightful romp. It is more Kirby if you're a Kirby fan like me. So I appreciated it in just for it being a Kirby game, but yeah, I didn't vibe with it a whole lot. But yeah, I definitely think I'm gonna switch to this is by the way, if you're new here, I rank all my games that I beat in a year, and so this is my list as it is currently sitting. I might move Kirby 64 below Kirby's Dream Land though, because that yeah, I was just not a fan of that. Electhead is a game that I played on video, and I think I rated it a 3 out of 5 on the GG app. I since went back and gave it an extra star to make it 4 because I see what it's doing. It was an interesting game that like it was linear at first, but then at the end it kind of like throws in like, okay, hey, now work your way, navigate your way back, and you can now, with all these abilities that you have, you can now find all these different areas of the game that you might have missed if you were just following the normal path. And it's super cool. I guess I just didn't really appreciate it when I was playing it, and I think overall it's a little anticlimactic, if I'm being honest. I kind of wish it was leading, like, it did build to something ultimately, but I wish the end, like, I wish there was like, you moved what was like the exploration aspect of these games, and I wish of the game in terms of like the end portion. I just wish they tacked that to the end of the game. I feel like it was kind of unnecessary to implement the exploration aspect at the end. um and so I don't know, that's just a personal take. For a lot of people, they enjoyed it, and I'm totally respect that. And there was also just some really obtuse puzzles, like in terms of navigating at the end, where I was just kind of like, how was I supposed to know to hit down here so that way I fall into this other area? Like, I don't know, I don't think I would have been able to figure that out otherwise. It's a weird one, but I appreciate it for what it is. I think for many it's gonna be a great game. For me, it just kind of wasn't. We also played Minute on stream, which I thought was a delight. I thought it was a really cool little game about basically you die after a minute, as the name would indicate. Um, and it was just like navigating in a Zelda-like world, and collecting things, and kind of like getting yourself in order with that. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was a lot of fun, and so I really, really, really enjoyed my time with it. Yeah, I'm curious. Like, I haven't really been following the developers of Minute, or who the developers even are, if it's like a collective or if it's an actual studio. Um, I would love to see them do something like this again. Like, it would be cool to even expand on it even more. I know there was even more content to do. I just didn't do it on stream, and I haven't touched it since I recorded it. So, yeah, I don't know. It is a really fun time, a fun little romp to kind of go through. That is like, it's a small enough game where I don't get annoyed with like the non-linear aspects of it, and I think the fact that it does force you to kind of like, hey, you explore for 60 seconds and then you come back, you explore for 60 seconds and then come back to your base or whatever. And I love that they have like different bases set up where, like, after you arrive somewhere, you're like, oh well, this is a new spawn point for you. Like, it's cool. Like, it's just, they just have a lot of cool things going for them. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. Let's see what else was new. Oh, okay. So this is gonna actually play in nicely to what I wanted to talk about. So, when this video goes out, which tomorrow, March 21st, you will have 6 days, and I would say probably even less than that, to purchase any games on the 3DS and Wii U eShop. One game that, like, won't even be functional, basically, once the eShop goes away, is this game called Rusty's Real Deal Baseball, which is by Nintendo. And it is a delightful game where you are basically buying these baseball video games off of this guy named Rusty, who owns like a baseball antique shop of sorts. But you are spending real money on these games. But what you do is that he kind of sells it at a specific price, and then you can negotiate with him to bring the price down. And overall, if you negotiate right, all the games in the store will total up to $16. 16, not 60. So ultimately the game is free to download. But then as you play, you're gonna be saying, they're gonna ask you like, hey, can you like, we're gonna now sell you this game, and you try to negotiate with him, and you do that by like basically bribing him with like donuts are his favorite food, and you have to give him things that are helping with certain situations. Like, all of a sudden you see like hair growing out of his nose, you give him a nose trimmer. Or that, like, oh, there's some things that are destroyed over here, I have to dig through things, you give him a shovel, and that will lower the price as well. And so it's just a really creative negotiation appreciating game. And on top of that, a lot of great baseball games. Like the baseball mini games are really, really fun. It reminds me so much of like a Wii Sports like side game almost. All of these put together, and it explores all different sides of baseball: the batter, the pitcher, even the call it being the umpire. Like you get to play as. Like it's super duper duper cool. I'm so in love with it. It's gonna be a shame that it's gonna go away forever. Essentially, like because once it goes away, and like even if you have it, if you haven't purchased all those games, well, you can't do that anymore. So this is gonna be like one of the games that really really suffers. So not only do you have to download this game now, you need to like you have to like beat it essentially. Which is not the end of the world. It's really as long as you just keep on playing the games, you'll have a good time with it, and you should be able to do it. It's like I don't know, like 8 hours I guess it would take. I mean, probably less than that if you really are gonna grind for it. But it's a great time. It's what I love so much about Nintendo. I love when they're weird about things. I love them making weird games. Like just going outside the box of how they want to approach things. It's what they do at their best. Speaking of, well, that's going to be a kind of a theme throughout a lot of these other games that I want to bring up here. Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe. Obviously, I streamed that. I filmed that. You should go watch the entire playthrough. I played both Kirby's Return to Dreamland. Also, I played in Merry Magoland, and I did Magolor's Epilogue. All of which was fantastic. I completely changed my opinion on Kirby's Return to Dreamland. I really didn't like it playing it on the Wii. But for whatever reason, playing it now, I have a much more of appreciation for it. Probably because I have more of appreciation for Kirby than I did pre-Forgotten Land. I love the Game Boy games and the DS games a lot, but I fell off after Return to Dreamland. And so modern Kirby was lost on me up until Forgotten Land came out, and then I've been so much more immersed in them. And Return to Dreamland is just such a delightful game from start to finish. I think I talked about it at the time. I think my only critique is really like I just wish the levels were as interesting as like their final 5 seconds. Like meaning like the last moments of those stages where you become like some of the levels, not all of them have this, where you become like you get the super ability, and then you use that to like just rampage through the last portion of the stage, and then you enter like this weird portal, and then you have to like do like get through a auto scroller and then fight a boss. Like the game is so weird in how it's laid out, and I just kind of wish that. But like even like at those endpoints, like I just wish that there was those moments that were kind of exciting at the end of those levels. I wish that was the entire game, like which in a way it is, but like there's just so much of the game that is just the levels are just so mundane that are just kind of like I don't know. It just kind of it falls short to me of the many really really great Kirby games that I've played. Planet Robobot being probably the best of the 2D platformers, although I personally I think love Superstar Ultra more, and then Forgotten Land is just an all-time 3D platformer that I just love very dearly. But no, yeah, Return to Dreamland is still a great time. It is a genuinely great game with a great character, the best story I probably of the Kirby franchise, just in terms of understanding what's going on. But also just like I don't know, Magolor. I think I've also now love Magolor more. Magolor's Epilogue was also just incredible. A super difficult game. Like out of the gate, it is super difficult. But like the fact that the game gets easier the stronger you get across the game, and then you have that insane boss fight at the end. It's just it is super satisfying. It's fun playing as Magolor. It'd be cool if they gave him like a full game to just have that be like the main premise of like, hey, he's gonna start off super weak and then get stronger and stronger. I don't know. I for what it is though, it was great. I super enjoyed it. And Merry Magoland, I sunk so many hours into. It was fantastic. I'm gonna save Melatonin because I think it. Well, here's what I'll say about Melatonin. such a great game. I did not get this game initially because I didn't know if I was really going to enjoy the kind of rhythm game that it is, which is they don't. It's not like you are timing when the A button comes across the screen and you have to hit it when it gets to like the little circle thing. It's not like that. You're specifically listening out for specific cues and then hitting the button at the right time, either audio cues or visual cues. Um, and it's so good. It is Melatonin is a legitimately great game. I had so much fun with it. But it was post me playing Rhythm Heaven Megamix. And so that kind of game was also super appetizing to me. And Melatonin, I don't think hits the highs that Rhythm Heaven Megamix does, not by any stretch. I wish that there was a little bit more like diversity in the levels, but I understand that it's all one person's dreams. And diversity in the levels, like the guy who's like basically the main star of all the levels, he is put into different situations, and therefore the rhythm gameplay ends up changing up a bunch, and so that is fun. But I guess that was like the only thing for me was I kind of wish it was like more off the walls, the scenarios that you put in. But again, it wasn't meant to be rhythm. It wasn't trying to be Rhythm Heaven. It just has that kind of gameplay, and for what it is, it's fantastic, and I would recommend it to anyone for a Rhythm Heaven like substitute as an indie game. What else? Okay, so that's the only one that only other one before we get to the main one that I want to talk about here. Super Mario Land 2. This was a surprising one. So the GBA or Game Boy and Game Boy Color, when it was launched on Switch, I saw that Mario Land 2 was added, and so many people talked about Mario Land as like being like a genuinely underrated great Mario 2D platformer. I gotta be honest, like I'm not like I like the 2D Mario games, but I'm not in love with them or any of them, to be honest. Like Super Mario World's great, like fantastic, like Super Mario, and like all these games are. I say that they're like great, like as if like they aren't what has inspired so many video games ever. Like they are such massive video games in the history of games. But just me personally, being someone who is more of a modern gamer, the arcadiness of 2D Mario is frustrating typically. And not that Super Mario Land 2 lacks that. However, what makes Super Mario Land 2 so special to me and why I think it might be my favorite 2D Mario game is how weird it is, how unique it is, how fun the world, the environments are. Like the fact that there's a Mario world where you go through and you have like unique platforming that is just unique to Mario, the Mario Land or whatever it's called, or there's a Halloween world, and then there's like a house. There's a world where you are a miniature person in a big house. Like there's just so many really really creative ideas in this platformer that I wish other 2D Marios would embed more, where a lot of what other 2D Marios are just like, hey, here's a setting that you're in and you're just doing fun 2D platforming across it. And like, don't get me wrong, like that's works for for what they are, and they're fun games to play. But I love how weird Super Mario Land 2 like is, and I enjoyed going through the worlds and then beating the final boss in those worlds and then collecting the coins. Like it's just a really really great time. I just highly recommend it for those who enjoyed Mario, and for those who haven't played it before, like I would play it. It's a weirder game though. It's definitely a stranger game. You don't have a ton of abilities. You only have like the fire flower and like the bunny hopping one that you get as well. But I think it's just great. It's so bizarre, but it's also so worth it at the same time. To just go through it, and yeah, great music too. And the Wario boss fight at the end is just it's beautiful. It's a great introduction to Wario as we know him. All right, that was almost a half hour of me talking. Now I'm gonna talk for another half hour about Rhythm Heaven Megamix. Okay, listen. 3DS eShop shutting down. I pick up Rusty's Real Deal Baseball. I picked up the entirety of the Pushmo series. I'm gonna pick up the entirety of the Box Boy series as well. I want to make sure I get that. Was kind of thinking about, oh, maybe we could do Pocket Kart Jockey as well. I feel like there's other ones that I'm forgetting about too. But Rhythm Heaven Megamix was, I was considering it, and then I was like, you know what? I tried the DS Rhythm Heaven, and I wasn't really vibing with it. And I was just like, you know what? I don't think I need to buy Megamix. But then I was watching Barry Kramer play it on his stream, and I was just like, you know what? Maybe I should try it. Maybe I should pick it up. I picked it up. I want to say today is March 20th. I picked it up March. Would it be the 10th? Would it actually be the 10th? What was that Thursday? March 9th or March 10th? Probably 9th. Fuck. I don't know dates. I think it was the 9th. Anyways, I picked it up March 9th. I was just like, alright, let's give this a shot. I have not stopped playing this video game. I am in love with Rhythm Heaven Megamix to the point where yesterday on Twitter I proclaimed that I think it might be my favorite video game of all time. And that is totally a feeling of like that is coming from a place that is a prisoner of the moment, like being like super into it right now. As time goes on, as the months go on, and I maybe move away from this game, will I still feel the same? I don't know. But I can't stop playing these games. Like, I have played almost all of these rhythm games 4 or 5 times at the very least, trying to perfect them, trying to get the star. You play through the game and there's like one specific rhythm moment where you have to get like a perfect timing, so that way you get like a little star badge for that game. There's a bunch of challenges as well. It has such a bizarre story throughout as well, but it's so funny, like in that way, in how bizarre it is. I love the different characters in the game. I love all the different styles of minigame that there are, that ones that are more like, hey, just hit the button at the right time, or keep on hitting the button to keep with the rhythm. Like, all of these moments, all these things that lead up to the remixes where you're playing all these games at once, and that final remix where you're like blasting through 15 games, you have to make sure you time all of them and hit all of them at the right moment. It's like, it is a game that kicked my ass, but it's a game I've gotten better at as I've gone on. And I've been jokingly in my own mind, because I don't know if I really talked to other people about this before, but in my own mind, like I feel like this is like my Dark Souls moment, where it's a game that's super difficult. And you're presented with that difficulty, but you just keep on going, you keep on trying, you keep on pushing yourself to keep on improving, and you just end up falling in love with every moment of it. And it's a game that just brings me so much goddamn joy at every waking turn, every moment. Like, I pick up there's a game that I start playing, I'm like, man, this is such a good game. And I say that for about like 30 of the mini games throughout the entire experience. Like, it's non-stop joy. It's non-stop vibing with the music, non-stop, mastering the controls and mastering every single moment of it, and trying to remember when to hit certain things, and like the aha moments that I have of like, oh man, I can't get this, and then finally getting it, and then being able to get it again, and then like hitting it every single time it pops up in a remix, or just when I replay it, and then I'm able to do like a perfect campaign for it. Every little thing about this game has just completely, like, every moment of this game has just really, I don't know, like, I can't even speak. Like, it's changed me. or more specifically, it has done for me what I feel like a Dark Souls does for a lot of people. But as someone who's never been into combat, never been into like dark very sinister worlds like Dark Souls. It loves colorful, vibrant games like a Rhythm Heaven Rhythm Heaven Megamix is like. It just it's like, oh no, this is the vibe that I want with a level of difficulty that is really hard for me, but it is worked to a point where like I just can't put it down. I cannot put this fucking game down. Every single moment that I feel like I'm just want to think and contemplate for a little bit, I want to pick up my 3DS and play more. It has completely consumed me. And the worst part about it is that it's gonna go away. Like, I mean, it's not gonna go away for me because I bought it, but I meant like for people who haven't played this game and don't know the joys that this game is, that they will not be able to experience this game unless it gets ported to Switch or another Rhythm Heaven comes out that has a very similar mechanic. Because here's the thing, like, I feel like Rhythm Heaven DS doesn't work for me because I really just don't like the touchpad, and I feel like the grading is not like as clear as it is in Rhythm Heaven Megamix, and it's a lot of the same games. And I kind of feel like with Rhythm Heaven Fever, I just never played that. I feel like I was able to watch Let's Play of it, and that is good for me. And a lot of the games that were in that are also in Megamix. And I don't think that game, from what I've seen of it, including its remixes, I don't think it hits those highs that Megamix has in terms of its remixes. So, I really, 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 really hope that people in the next couple days, if they're at all considering getting Megamix, whether they have Megamix, that they do. If you don't, if you know how to emulate, you can do that too. Like, I mean, I'm not like, listen, I as much as I don't want to encourage crimes, at the same time, it's like, if Nintendo is not going to give you a way to purchase that game anymore, what else can you do? You know what I mean? But I'm just throwing it out there. I think right now it's my favorite game of all time. Will that change when I revisit Super Mario Odyssey, which is another game that I would consider an all-time great? Maybe. Or Portal 2, or any other game that I would even put in that try to put in that conversation. Undertale, like, sure. Like, I'm not ruling out anything in terms of how much I love all those games. But like, I don't think a game has enraptured me in this way before. Like, Kirby the Forgotten Land was the last one that did that for me, and maybe a little Gator Game too. Like, those two games came out last year, and I really liked them. But even those two games, they're brilliant masterpieces of video games. I don't think either of them have hooked me like this. Like, neither of them have made me like want to keep being in this world like this, and it's just endless too. Like, I don't think I'm going to be able to 100% this game. I'm not that good. I'm not that good to be able to 100% Rhythm Heaven Megamix, but I want to be that good, and I want to keep on trying to be that good because it's that addicting. Like, no other game forces me to be like that, like Rhythm Heaven Megamix, and on top of that, makes me enjoy going through that pain and suffering of losing levels and struggling and all that. Like, yeah, I have talked. I will keep talking about Rhythm Heaven Megamix till I croak. Like, this is a game that I love dearly, and I don't think that, like, I first I was like, I still think I prefer the gameplay of WarioWare. And there's still a part of me that does, but I don't think any WarioWare has hit the highs that Rhythm Heaven Megamix does. All WarioWares are great. And whereas I only have like the one Rhythm Heaven game where I'm like, oh, I love this. But like, I don't know, both are, and the reason why I'm comparing the two, by the way, like, they're by the same team. These are the same developers that design both of these games. Which then begs the question, by the way. We got a WarioWare on the Switch. Do we get a Rhythm Heaven on the Switch? There is some talk about, like, this fall not being, like, a big season for Nintendo, because they're coming out with Tears of the Kingdom, right? do we see a smaller game like a Rhythm Heaven come out? I mean, if it does, holy fuck! Like, what a year to get into Rhythm Heaven for me, right? Like, this is the perfect opportunity. But if I'm also being honest, like, if we never get another Rhythm Heaven game, I'm cool with that too. Like, to me, this is like where I'm super excited to get another Mario game. I'm super, or 3D Mario specifically. I'm super excited to get the next Kirby game. I'm super excited to get a game from an indie developer that I'm super excited for. If this is the last Rhythm Heaven game, I am completely okay with that, because I don't know how you top this. I don't know. Like, there is certainly ideas there, and there's certainly ways that they can explore that, and, like, I don't doubt that they can top it. But, like, this is so good from start to finish that I just don't know how they could push themselves to get to that point. Like it would be amazing if they can make a Switch game that is as good, if not better. But I don't want to get my hopes up about it either. I want to just be like, you know what, if Rhythm Heaven is dead, fine. That's okay, because I have Megamix. I have so much I can still do in Megamix, even though I've beaten the game. I beat the game like a week ago, and I'm still playing it. Like, yeah, it's incredible. This has just been an incredible experience. And yeah, I really hope that people who are at all thinking about it do have the opportunity to play it, buy it before it goes away, or if you figure out other means to play it, like, please try to. And again, like, I feel like Melatonin, I kind of critiqued more than I praised. Like, that is such a great emulation of Rhythm Heaven. It's just done in a way that's a little bit more, like, it still has the silly vibes to it. It's a little melancholy, given some of, like, the extra story aspects of it in terms of dealing with life and stuff, and, like, the metaphors of life through the mini games. It's a lot more. It has a lot of chill vibes. It's also a lot harder than Rhythm Heaven, because it does have a stricter grading system, but they have a bunch of accessibility settings, so it kind of makes up for that. But Melatonin, like, please go buy and play Melatonin. If you can't get to Rhythm Heaven, get Melatonin. It is so good. And there's another game coming out soon called Bits and Bops. That has immediately skyrocketed to, like, the top of my, like, I need to play this now, because I played the demo again after playing Rhythm Heaven, and I have so much more of an appreciation for that kind of gameplay now that I have fallen head over heels in love with Rhythm Heaven. So, like I cannot wait for that game to come out as well. So, and please, if you are listening to this 42 minutes into this video, if you're listening to me rant about this and you're like, oh, there's another rhythm indie game that you should try out that's very similar to Rhythm Heaven, please recommend it. I am now looking. Like, I am down to try anything at this point that has a similar vibe to Rhythm Heaven Megamix, because goddamn, what a fucking video game that is. But this has been such a fun exploration of my backlog. I can't wait to play new games, and I'm excited for this week that Chi is coming out. You know, Storyteller is also coming out this week, and I can't wait to play that as well. I have a Forklift Extreme, which is a remake of a definitive edition of a game that did come out a few years ago. I've since learned, but, like, I have that downloaded that I might also end up streaming at some point. Like, so we got some new games that I want to play and that I'm excited about. So, yeah. Guys, thank you for listening to me rant about the channel and rant about all the video games, rant about Rhythm Heaven and everything. I hope that you guys are doing well. I'm doing well. It's just, well, first of all, life is, life's a bitch. Gotta deal with life. That's not great, but I'm good otherwise. I at the end of the day, I want to produce videos and produce content that I enjoy. And so I'm going to try to do that. And putting more of an effort in doing that means probably not uploading videos as much and forcing myself to stream as much. I do hope to change that with Chia. I hope I can stream Chia, because, I'm still unsure what the issues are with my streaming side. But it's been some time, so maybe I've not hurt the internet in a while. Maybe it's ready for me to stream again. We'll see how it goes. Anyways, 45 minutes has gone by. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next vlog or in the next video. Bye bye.